Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mimic Commentary, Part 6. Last we left off, I was running away from Bear, and I ran to the site of grace at the Fort Haight West. Today we're going to be taking back Kenneth Haight's fort, the dawning of its revival. Before we walk past these Demihumans, we have some sign on the ground. Open for business, and we could see a little merchant on there. So it's kind of interesting that we have confirmations that NPCs can be writing messages. When we first spawned into Chapel Anticipation, we kind of theorized that an NPC may have written the message in front of the dead Finger Maiden. I think this is our second nomadic merchant.
Right this way.
He has a different colored cloth than Kale. It's darker, but he still has the same ornate gems. He has the instrument with the 5 fingers. And we have some smoldering butterflies flying over a fire. I like his setup here.
Welcome.
It's got a nice little tent,
Yes, right
some earthly
this way.
flowers,
Right this
a
way.
bench, probably all of his materials. Yeah, just really cool stuff. All right, let's see what he sells.
Welcome, valued customer. Come, trade in our wandering emporium. Please, buy something. I'm hungry. I've been hungry so long. Please.
I don't know what he means by that, because if we give him runes, he has food in his inventory. Is he going to, buy food with the runes? So let's take a look at what he has. I think this is our first Festering Bloody Fingers. Attempts an invasion of another player's world. If successful, you will arrive as an invader, a Bloody Finger, with the objective of defeating the host of fingers of that world. The furrowed finger is blackened with blood congestion. It seems to have been chopped off rather unceremoniously. Yeah, we could see that the finger has a long, gnarly nail, and it's kind of looks like maybe purple towards the top. And you could see horns wrapping around where it was cut off. Slivers of meat. I'm not sure if we've seen these items before. I think we already have them. A slice of thinly carved beast flesh. The dried meat toughens the constitution. I think these are used for creating the dappled cured meats and things like that. Beast liver, luscious fruit of life. I think we've looked at beast blood before, and that it was glittering with gold. And since the liver filters blood, it could be assumed that this beast liver is a luscious fruit of life because that golden blood is being filtered through it. Lumps of flesh filled with rich juices. Meat suitable for a rustic feast. That's most likely similar to why the beast liver is a luscious fruit of life. More Trina's lilies. A symbol of faith in St. Trina. So this nomadic merchant might be a follower of St. Trina. Dulling your senses and preventing agitation would be good if you're hungry. He sells the hand axe, and we learned from the... What talisman is it? Actually, I have it equipped right now. The Lord who led the long march bore an axe, and his loyal warriors honored him by wielding axes of their own, making them very effective at dealing decisive blows. This is the axe talisman. And actually, kind of, the axe has a little star kind of at the top, near where the shaft meets the blade.
How nice, please.
So since he sells a hand axe here, I think it's not too far from the ruins close by where we got the axe talisman. I think it's supposed to tell us that, these warriors were coming through this area. He also has the Nomadic Warriors Cookbook for Beastler Pot, and the Armorer's Cookbook with Exalted Flesh. The Armorers come from General Radon's army. As well as smithing stones. Unfortunately, I don't have enough money right now to buy these cookbooks, but we'll come back. He also has St. Trina's arrows. These are really pretty. Arrow carved to resemble a withered water lily. Afflicts targets with a powerful sleep effect. Priests of St. Trina use these arrows to spread their teaching. The sweet oblivion of sleep can become quite the habit. So the faith of St. Trina has priests, and the water lily is a symbol of their faith. So much so that they carve them into arrows And to spread their teachings, priests have to put people to sleep. It's a sweet oblivion. Oblivion is a state of lack of consciousness. So think of like to be oblivious. So to be in this sweet oblivion, this lack of consciousness of sleep, can become quite the habit. And this is how they spread their teaching. In a world where death doesn't exist, a reason why the faith of St. Trina might be so prevalent is because, an eternal sleep might be more satisfactory than, eternally living in a corrupting world that's just falling apart. That's just one idea of what it means. We're actually going to pick up one of these, so we always have one in our inventory, just in case we have to reference it. I'll pick up one of these as well. And I don't have any more money. We have the riveted wooden shield, a small wooden round shield that has been reinforced with metal. It is light and easy to handle, but cannot offer the damage negation of a true metal shield. The design riveted to the center represents both sword and tree. When we think tree, we should think Erd tree, and sword. I guess these might be a shield. I mean, if we pair it with the axe warriors might have been using the shield. It could be representing these are warriors for the Erd tree, and that's why it's a sword and a tree. And we have the blue gold kite shield. The design represents the Erd tree foregrounded against a blue sky. So I think, yeah, we could say that this tree is supposed to be the Erd tree. And that the people who bore this axe were faithfuls of the Erd tree, as well as the warriors who also... The lord who led the long march who bore an axe, and loyal warriors honored him by wielding an axe. I think these axe warriors and their lord of the long march were all Erd tree faithful. Thanks to those items and what he's selling. But we're going to have to come back to him. I think we need like 2,000. Probably 2,000 runes? 2,500? Now we missed this earlier. Let's see, I'm going to go run to the other Demihumans before we fight these guys. So this is back by the Rune Bear and the well. I want to bring up how the Demihumans are fairly intelligent because they leave ambushes for people. That person only had thin beast bones on him, and as soon as we go to pick him up, a few other Demihumans come out to ambush us. And let's see if we can get any items from them to learn more about them. So from the larger one, we found the Rainbow Stone. And I think we talk about these maybe on our first or second episode. Rune fragments that have undergone some simple processing. Stones such as these shine with the colors of the rainbow, making them useful markers when placed on the ground. It can also be dropped to gauge distance of fall, once used to entertain the children on the fringes of the lands between. That's some really excellent world building. Talking about how children would play with them and they're entertained by the shiny objects. It's not too dissimilar to any player of a video game who gets lured into a trap because there's a shiny object there. And the Demihumans themselves carry them, most likely because they are also interested in shiny objects. So I think it's supposed to show us that we're not all too different after all. Even though these are Demihumans, they're, pretty similar to you or I. We are all enticed by shiny objects. And we'll go to great lengths to get them, even if it means pursuing danger. Past here we have more Demihumans and a ghost up ahead. Now that night has fallen, we can see that their eyes have turned red. I think there's an item that explains this, but when night falls, not only do we start seeing more spiritual things in the world, but creatures like the Demihumans become enraged and they become more aggressive. They also drop glowstones, so I think that's also supposed to reinforce how they're interested in the shiny objects. Up ahead we have Kenneth Haight's fort. We're going to dawn its revival, but first let's talk to the ghost. The Demihumans wax wroth. Now their mother's been taken. Where are you, Lord Kenneth? The knight, bedeviled by blood. He looks much different than the other ghosts. He has a kind of like floppy hat and a horn. The other ghosts that we've seen have like those like necklaces. Before we go up to the fort, we're gonna go over to these coffins over here, but just kind of discuss what we learned. So the Demihumans are angry because their mother's been taken, and by a knight who is just enraptured with blood, whatever that could mean. And Kenneth Haight, Ken, he would not have let this happen. So we found him by a few Demihumans, and he was saying that he needed some safety. He needed to be rescued. I wonder if he wasn't saying he needed to be rescued by the Demihumans, but if he needed to be just rescued and given his castle back. The Demihumans are actually one of my least favorite enemies to fight. Not because like they're difficult or uninteresting, but from what we learn later in the game, I kind of feel bad for them. You know, they're not so different from people. Their civilization isn't as culturally advanced, or their culture isn't as advanced as typical civilizations, but it doesn't mean that they should be put to the sword because they're just trying to survive like everybody else. Out here we have these stone coffins. Most of them are empty. I think we could see that there's bodies in a few of them. Yep, there's bodies in a few of these. Those elongated necks and kind of a cavernous chest. It looks like they may have been excavated. Excavated? I don't know what you would call that. Like, when you, like, I guess disemboweled? That would lead me to believe that, you know, they don't want these bodies to be embedded into the ground and then eventually feeding the roots of the Erd tree, so they're not getting a proper death or burial by returning to the roots. What do we have on the front of these? It looks like... I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman. I kind of think it's a woman. And looks like she's holding a book of something. Maybe it's in prayer. She kind of looks like a priestess, maybe. These are throughout, I think, the entirety of the game. And I'm not sure which culture they are. Maybe we'll find out which culture might be putting people into stone coffins so they don't have their bodies entombed, or they don't have their bodies gathering into the Erd tree. So let's keep an eye out for stone coffins and see if we can find any culture that will relate to that. We also picked up some new runes, so let's see if we got any more lore on them. Even now, runes are still by power of life itself. Do you see the Erd tree? Nope. That's, this is, yeah. That's all stuff we already know. Alright, let's go do the castle. I stopped and killed a bird because we wanted the four-toed fowlfoot. In the lands between, having 3 digits is seen as a bad omen. As such, the four-toed fowl's foot is a gift of great luck indeed. So we have the religion of the 2 fingers, who are part of the Golden Order. We have 3 is bad, it's an omen, bad omen, but 4 is good luck. Well, 2 plus 2 is 4, so maybe that's why 2 fingers. We also have the octopus down there. I don't know if I fought these guys on stream before. So just in case, let me see if I have any of their... Oh, I think I did, yeah. I fought this off stream. The land octopus ovary drops from them. Land octopuses eat humans in order to bear young, and theirs is the blood that runs through these ovaries. Puffy, milky white ovary of the land octopus. So if we can look at them, I think that's probably their ovaries on the outside of their bodies, and they eat humans. Oh, they're so nasty. And then there's a baby one. But they're land octopuses. They stay near the water, but they live on the land, and they eat humans, and human blood is what goes through them. Let's keep that in mind, that it's human blood that's going through these. Why is it human blood? Let's kill them and see if we can get any other items. Or if they do anything interesting. They have beaks like traditional, I guess, octopus and squid. More ovaries. Yeah, it's just interesting that it's human blood that flows through them. Alright, let's go to the castle. Oh, there's turtles. I don't like killing turtles, so I won't. So, before we storm this castle, we could see dead Demihumans. We saw one jumping up the cliff there. There's a, I guess guess a ballista? I don't know what that's called. A ballista? And ballista? There's a ballista. I think that's how it's pronounced. Shooting arrows at them. Yeah, you can see shooting arrows at this guy. The banners are the beast in the tree, signifying golden lineage and Godric soldiers. So we know that Godric's knight is holding the fort right now. And they stole the queen. So let's see what happens. Two of Godric's knights fighting Demihumans. Let's help him out. He's still going to attack us, though. Sorry, buddy. This guy's fairly giant. He's still human, though. I think he's still human. But he's much larger than everyone else he's faced. A little smaller than a troll, so maybe some relation to the trolls. And he's got a weird pumpkin-shaped helmet. Unfortunately, we don't know anything about pumpkin heads yet, so I can't talk about him. Who these people might be, but he put down a standard of some sort. I wonder if we could see what's on the standard. No, it just looks like a flag. If you hit their heads, it bounces off the damage, so that's pretty funny. And he dropped a sanctuary stone. These are similar stones found by ruin fragments. A rare piece of stone fragment found near places where the ruins fall from the sky. It feeds and strengthens the light as it shines. Since those guys are wearing those big metal helmets, there's probably stones put inside of them so they can actually see. And here we found our first golden seed. This is similar to the what I said may have been golden roots, where we were where we spawned in the stranded gravesite after falling to our deaths and were found by Melina and Torrent. But from looking at the golden seed, we learned that this is actually an illusory tree. Looking at the golden seed, we could see that it's giving off a nice golden hue. It has some leaves growing through it already. And I'm not sure what actual seeds are supposed to look like after they start sprouting, but I don't think they're supposed to look like this. A golden seed found at the base of an illusory tree. So this tree is illusory, like an illusion, I guess, as if it's not real. Yeah, I guess, you know, it's an illusion. It's not real. That kind of doesn't bode well for the Erd tree, which looks very similar. Is this supposed to imply that these trees and the Erd trees are an illusion of some sort? Maybe not literally illusions, like they're actually here, but you know what we see isn't the full picture. They look markedly different. This thing, born from a golden seed, looks markedly different than the minor Erd trees. The Erd tree itself is a little slanted if we're looking towards the north, it's slanted to the west. The minor Erd trees, all the minor Erd trees that we could see in the distance, they are completely straight. The Erd tree is gold throughout its entirety, while the minor Erd trees only have golden leaves. But this illusory tree has no leaves, except golden flowers growing at the base, but it's entirely gold. So it's more similar to the Erd tree. So perhaps this is supposed to tell us that maybe minor Erd trees don't come from golden seeds. They don't come from seeds. Maybe they are grown from something else. When the Elden Ring was shattered, these seeds flew from the Erd tree, scattering across the various lands, as if life itself knew that its end has come. Alright, so these seeds, as far as we know, should only exist because the Elden Ring was shattered. Once the Elden Ring is shattered, the Erd tree is throwing off these seeds. So the Elden Ring and the Erd tree are connected in some way. That, perhaps to preserve itself, it needs to plant golden seeds in other places. The minor Erd trees already exist, so this must mean that there is a difference between these minor Erd trees and these illusory golden trees and the Erd tree. This is also increases the sacred flask number of uses, and perhaps that's why we found one where we spawn in, because if we look at the flask of Crimson Tears, we could see that it kind of has like a little tree growing inside. So Melina maybe was able to give us this flask and it was able to work properly because she had a golden seed on hand underground. It's interesting that we actually found it underground. How did it get there? How did the seed fall through? If the seed went into the ground, it should have been growing up top. So perhaps that means that that golden seed underground was placed there. I don't know who would place it there, but, you know, perhaps it was. And our first blood rose, too. We learned that there's a knight in here who is bedeviled by blood. And that blood-slick roses that bloom in blood-soaked soil. So somebody's blood was here. Particularly beloved those who serve the Lord of Blood. Glory to his inevitable reign. Okay, so even though this is a Godric soldier, the guy in here is not really loyal to Godric, but he's loyal to this Lord of Blood. Since he's loyal to this Lord of Blood, maybe this is why he kidnapped or abducted this demi-human queen, we could see her lying right there, and killed her to anger the demi-humans. Maybe she was taken for some sort of blood sacrifice. So these guys have fire bombs, and they're standing next to a fire chest, so let's see if we can make it explode. He also has rats here, so, I don't know why. I can't think of a reason why there would be also rats here. More blood roses, so yeah, we could see that the guy here is definitely really interested in the Lord of Blood, and maybe he took these demi-humans to slaughter them and use their blood to grow blood roses. This is our first look at a demi-human queen. She has, I'm just gonna let the wolves up there take care of everyone while we talk. She has kind of like tribal marking tattoos on her backs and her arms. Looks like maybe spirals and squiggles. She's also wearing a chainmail over her head. So, you know, there is a culture and there is intelligence within the demi-humans. And there's a culture that, you know, is deserving of respect and shouldn't be looked down upon by others. Oh, all right, we're getting a lot of cool stuff. Straight sword with a rather short but wide blade. Simple to wield, it was known as the Sword of the People, which makes sense because we got it off a commoner. Though the Erdtree styling is still visible, time has not been kind to the sword, now merely a shadow of its former self. Well, so that's interesting that this is doing a little like narrative allusion to the Erdtree itself. So this sword is styled, has styling that is similar to the Erdtree, but now it's merely a shadow of its former self. And, you know, that's supposed to be telling us that the Erdtree as we see it now is also a shadow of its former self. It used to be much more splendorous in times long past, but for whatever reason, it is not. This is also a first look at these weapons over here. We haven't seen these before, but we're going to be seeing them throughout the game. They kind of have these, like, black marred pockmarks on them. Can we see the... Can't really see that sword. But we could see that, or we can't see the shield, but we could see these swords have these. Let's see if we can look at them. They have 3 on them. 3 is seen as a bad omen. 5-pointed stars, that should be fine. But these little flower motifs have 3 on them. We're going to see more of those throughout the game, and we'll be able to tie those to... Oh, the wolves don't like them either. We'll be able to tie those to whoever owns them. And we got a new cookbook to create blood grease. All right, so this nomadic warrior who was here was also interested in making more blood items. So let's see what this blood stuff is all about. By combining a blood rose and root resin, we can get blood grease, which inflicts blood loss. And we can also make blood arrows. Is that all we can make? So... nothing too interesting from that other than telling us that, yeah, the people here are... It must be all these people. Even the Godric soldiers must be, you know, kind of secretly working for this Lord of Blood. Oh, looks like he just, like, phased through the ground. There's an item over there we're going to pick up. First here is our knight who's bedeviled by blood. Let's see if he can do any of his... There we go. So he puts the blade into his arm, cuts his palm, and then does some sort of blood blade on us. And we got Bloody Slash. Bloody Slash, Blood Oath skill granted by the Lord of Blood. So this guy must have interacted with the Lord of Blood in some way. He made a blood oath with him, and he was granted that. So I think this is kind of like when we met Rena the Witch, when she told us about the liars and cheats of the lands between, that, you know, even though this guy is wearing armor of one of Godric's knights, he's not really working for Godric. He's working for this Lord of Blood. And there is this duplicity amongst our characters, that they might not be who they seem. And some smithing stones. And before we let Kenneth Haight know that we saved his fort from these bloody knights, let's check what last piece of treasure they have. At the top of... Whoa, what the hell? Scared me. Jesus, the fucking wolf scared me. And up top, we found a chest decorated with the tree and the beasts. So, this chest is supposed to indicate Erd Tree worship, but we got some Lord of Blood guys going on here, so who knows? They maybe have stole this from its original owner. And we got the Dectus medallion. Just by looking at it, we can kind of see half of a tree and then a person with a funny hat and a staff with a crescent at the top. Left half of the split medallion depicting the Erd Tree. I was right, it was depicting the Erd Tree. Brandishing the medallion with both halves conjoined will activate the grand lift of Dectus, connecting the Altus Plateau to Liurnia. I don't think we have any mention of Altus Plateau and Liurnia yet. I think this is our first time learning about them. The right half is said to reside in Fort Faroth. The right half is said to reside in Fort Faroth, and the Dragon Barrow far to the east. So far to the east is that away. So the Dragon Barrow must be there, far to the east. And that place looks funky and scary. So we're probably not going to be getting to Altus Plateau from the Dectus lift in Liurnia for a very long time. We can actually see a lot from here. We see giant, they look like wooden towers, a big castle with a bridge, and then first it looks kind of like a fort similar to this one with similar styling, but then it turns into spires, so that must have been built later. We see some ruins. Those look like the church ruins that we're familiar with, like the Church of El. These great tree roots or something, and these whatever's growing on there. More ruins back there. One of those towers. We can actually see two of them. Another castle and minor Erd trees. So let's go back to Ken and tell him our mission is complete. Before we talk to Ken, I forgot about these stone graves, similar to the ones that we looked at earlier in the episode. But this one has a cookbook here. So we're going to grab all our runes, and then we'll grab that cookbook. See if there's anything else interesting around here. We got Golden Rune 6. Those born at the foot of the Erd Tree are blessed. At least that is the enduring belief of the people of the plateau. So we learned about the Altus Plateau from the Dectus Medallion. So the Erd Tree must be in the Altus Plateau, and that the people born there are blessed with more gold than everyone else. This is the highest grace that we've found so far. So it's interesting that we grabbed off this person, that someone who was born at the foot of the Erd Tree, right? Foot of the Erd Tree, is that what it said? Yeah, someone who was born at the foot of the Erd Tree is buried all the way over here in these stone coffins. Maybe they don't want those runes getting back into the tree system. Then we have a guy up here. Let's see what he's got. He's got a nice crown on his head. He's holding this item and looking up towards maybe a minor Erd Tree, maybe just the sky. And it is Fervor's Cookbook 1. a record of crafting techniques left by a man who was utterly captivated by Saint Trina. We could see the Trina lilies on these really beautiful pieces of paper with a lot of notes on them. Wouldn't it be amazing to be able to read what those say? He continued the search for her in his slumber. So he's captivated by Saint Trina, and he tries to sleep to find her. So that might be why the arrows try to put people to sleep, because that is how Saint Trina is able to communicate with people, communicating with people through their dreams, which is quite interesting. Dreams are incredibly important within A Song of Ice and Fire. They're kind of like the driving factor where a character will be motivated to do something because a dream kind of pushed them in that direction. And dreams usually come from something or someone else. They're usually just not like something random. It's not like the subconscious is telling them that they have this secret desire to go out and do something rash that they wouldn't normally do. It's usually a super entity or another power that is trying to manipulate people, at least in Song of Ice and Fire. So this could be, people are trying to put people to sleep because Saint Trina has some goals for people that she needs done, and by putting them to sleep and having her meet them in her dreams, that's how she gets those done. It teaches us the sleep pot, craftable item prepared using a cracked pot, enchanted by the incantations of Saint Trina. Consumes FP, throw at enemies to cause buildup of sleep. Like a lullaby or a quagmire, its light purple haze irresistibly draws its victim down into sleep. Sweet dreams. So yeah, I guess this do they say that she is a doesn't say she's a saint of sleep, but I think we can assume that this Saint Trina character is trying to communicate with people in their dreams. And perhaps she has, I'm assuming it's a she has plans that she wants people to do by telling their dreams. We also, let's think about our starting gift, the Bewitching Branch, which is blessed with an incantation of unalloyed gold, that the Imperium Mickle is loved by many people. Indeed, he has learned very well how to compel such affection. And from our Fervor's Cookbook, that the man who was searching for Saint Trina was utterly captivated by Saint Trina. So being able to bewitch people with branches to get them to compel their affection and do what you want, since that makes enemies fight for them, and Saint Trina perhaps manipulating people in their dreams, these two characters might be opposed to each other, working together in some way, but we'll have to wait and see with what other information we get. Let's talk to Ken and tell him about the fort.
I've been waiting for you with bated breath. Did you manage to recapture my fort? Oh, excellent news. Just wonderful. And the knight's dead to boot. Well
Yep,
done,
we
my
did it all.
friend. Well done indeed. I knew I was right to trust you. Now, here's your reward, as promised. Go ahead. It's all yours.
Hell yeah. So let's look at our reward. Actually, wait. Let's see if the sword that we picked up before, if it looks... It says an Erd Tree styling on it. I guess maybe the hilt, the crossguard, and then up the blade. It's supposed to look like the Erd Tree. It's foggy now, so I can't tell. Let's look at this dagger. An Erd steel dagger with a grass crest engraved upon its blade. That makes sense. Erd Tree is a tree, so, grass crest. I don't see anything wrong with that. Carried by the Erd Tree royalty for self-defense in times of peace. So he must be Erd Tree royalty. Though forged to a high standard, the weapon is difficult to wield. Attack power also scales with faith. Does it do any holy damage? Doesn't do any holy damage, but it scales with faith. And let's take a look at it. It's a pretty big dagger. Oops, I didn't want to pray, but oh well. And it gave us quick step, which allows us to dodge and move around people quickly. But we're gonna use our holy swords. What else does he have to say?
Time for me to head to the fort. I've much to do. First, I'll have to re-establish communication with the Demihumans. What's that?
Yeah, see, he's pro Demihuman, so that's good.
Well, under the Erd Tree, commingling with the Demihumans is made possible. Even the vulgar shall not be left behind under the rule of true order. Which is why I, Kenneth Haight, next in line as the rightful ruler of Limgrave, have sworn to uphold it. Just you watch, my friend. Just you watch.
So he still talks down on the Demihumans. He's not really treating them with respect by calling them vulgar. However, he does want to integrate them into Erdtree society, and that the true order, supposedly true order of the Erdtree, allows for commingling of those who kind of fall outside of it to integrate them within. And as the true heir to Limgrave, he should, that's his role. He's going to bring peace to the region. I don't know if he'll be happy to see how his fort looks right now, so it turns out he wasn't done talking and fast traveling there. He wasn't there yet.
I've been meaning to ask, would you like to enter my service? I see bright things in your future, stout warrior. Enter into my service and learn the workings of the Erdtree's true order. And who knows, perhaps sometime down the line, the grace of gold will return to those tarnished eyes of yours. What say you? A fine accord, is it not?
So we've already have an accord with Melina, but he says grace will come back to our eyes. You know what? I'll pledge my service. If I want to break into the future, I don't care. It'll make him happy. I already killed all the people at the fort for him, so...
Very well indeed. I knew I saw something in you. I shall await you at my fort. We shall hold a ceremony for your knighting there, I think. I see great things ahead of us. We are truly by the Erdtree blessed.
Excellent. Now I will become a knight, blessed by the Erdtree. And may I say, it looks very beautiful out. The sun is in the sky, so is the moon. All of the trees are glowing. Absolutely radiant here on this fine morning. So let's go to the fort again. Upon arriving at the fort, we can see something's changed. There's a bunch of Demihumans here now. I think they will attack me regardless. Let's see if I can just walk past them. Nope, they're mad at me. Let's see if I run up to Ken, if they'll lose aggro. I don't think they will. I don't want to have to kill all of you. We're on the same team. Yeah, let's see if I run up here. Will they bother me? Yes. Oh, they hit him. Oh, no. I didn't know they could do that. Well, it's a good thing they did because we learned that they drop glass shards. Glass shard covered in dirt. Because it sparkles in the light, it might be mistaken for an object of value when seen far away. It cannot produce light by itself, essentially worthless. So we see that the Demihumans do in fact like shiny things, including shards of glass. Actually, we look at their armor a bit. It's kind of like scales on there. They have scales on their armor. Kind of look like monkey faces. Yeah, interesting. All right, let's talk to Ken. Actually, no, he got smacked. Let's heal him. There we go. Because we're buddies.
You, is it? I suppose you must have seen it by now, yes. The sorry state of my fort? Oh, indeed, it is a foul fate for a land to be without a ruler. One must be found, with haste, and not that awful Godric, but a true and stalwart lord of the proper lineage to take the reins of Limgrave.
So he said that he's the rightful ruler of Limgrave previously, and that someone needs to really take the reins to bring this place back together. Limgrave must have been a nicer place before Godric became its ruler. I don't know if we learned when Godric had become its ruler yet. If he was the ruler of Limgrave before or after the shattering of the Elden Ring and the Shattering War where all the demigods fought. Godric himself is a demigod, so we could see why he is most likely the ruler of Stormvale, because he can trace his lineage. I think it says, let's see. Let me just double check. I don't want to be saying things we don't know yet. He's part of the Golden Lineage, and yeah, just the Golden Lineage. Oh yeah, Ken says that he traces his blood back to the first Elden Lord, Godfrey. So that's probably why he's the ruler of Stormvale. But Ken says he's actually the true heir. So he also has golden hair. I'm curious if this is supposed to imply that Kenneth Haight may be part of the Golden Lineage. He has golden hair. He has the golden eyes. He could be golden lineage. No, he couldn't. He says last. No, he can't. He can't be golden lineage. Just scratch that. No. He says that Godric's the last of golden lineage. So this guy is just blonde hair, gold eyes, not golden lineage, but nobility in some way. And he's the true heir. And he thinks that someone has to take over it, and it can't be Godric, because Godric sucks. Let's see what he says.
To have lifted your hopes, but I haven't the
It's okay, buddy.
authority to raise you to knighthood as things stand.
That's fine.
The great Kenneth Haight issues his sincerest apology. But now,
I accept.
I must begin my search post-haste for a true and stalwart lord of the proper lineage to take the reins.
Oh, okay. So his lineage, I guess, isn't good enough to be the heir to Limgrave. He's still noble, but he needs someone who has the proper lineage. I guess it's still, I guess, someone proper, and as they have ties to Godfrey, the Golden Lineage, first Elden Lord. So someone better than Godric, but Godric is the last of the Golden Lineage, so I guess he's gonna have a hard time finding that.
Post haste for a true and
Yeah. All right. So he's gonna have a hard time finding someone like that, since Godric is the last of the Golden Lineage. But I think that settles it for now. On our next episode, we are going to be traveling down the southern path. Remember, we made a choice and we went this way. Instead, we are going to go this way. I think we're going to open off the episode trying to fight the Knights Cavalry at nighttime, and then we will start exploring the ruins and looking in this direction. Perhaps going down into the lake, and perhaps going down this way to the catacombs over here. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Let's do the thing.